Oh, hey everybody, it's me, Colette Baron-Reid, and my beautiful friend, Debbie Frank. Say hi, Debbie.
Thank you, Colette. Hello. Gorgeous to see you. Looking up in your turquoise.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, it's a black chair, and I kind of disappear into it, but I put this on. I like
Never
it better.
here, Colette. Not possible.
Not possible. Anyway, I'm very excited that we're here to talk about April. We're going to do the Astro Oracle for everyone. This is the way we're going to do it. Debbie is talking first. So she is going to tell us what's going on for the month in general. Then we're going to go through each sign. So take it away. And then I will pull the cards for each sign as we go.
Important bit. Yeah. All right. Okay. Well, April, here we are. Well done, everyone. We got through March. So March and April are two of the hugest months on this planet because there's just been so much shifting. It's obviously just been eclipse season. Neptune has done this massive move into Aries just towards the very end of March. So kind of just tentatively stepping foot into a new paradigm. So let's not, kind of try and judge it already. We just have to kind of experience it and feel our way in, I think. But what we've still got, flavors of March. We start with April with Mercury and Venus still going backwards in the heavens, and they're going to be between Pisces and Aries, but they are going to straighten themselves out. So, of course, the Pisces energy is letting go. The Aries energy is moving on. So it's like we can't move on until we let go. We have to do the letting go first, right, and then be able to move on. So that's really for everybody, no matter what your sign. And then we're going to get Mars just after the middle of the month, moving to Leo, where it was actually November, December through to the beginning of January. And it started to go retrograde then. It's now moving forwards in Leo, which is nice. Leo is a very vibrant, forward-facing sign. It's fun, it's exuberant. So, I think that's a very nice kind of background note for most people. And of course, it's going to be Taurus season downloading, which here in the Western Hemisphere is, a very luscious time of year with a lot of blossom. It's a very sensual time, a time to reconnect with nature. And that sort of feeling of, having some time to stop and smell the roses, even though they probably won't be in bloom just yet, but it's coming.
It's more the promise of the roses.
It's the promise. You might see a few buds. So shall I start with Aries?
Yes, let's start with Aries, and then I will. But I just want to say, I like the way that you started with the paradigm shift. That's what I also saw for the Oracle reading for April, because there really is a paradigm shift.
There really is.
It feels so different. It just feels
very different. And, the world is shifting very quickly, but it's not just shifting between that to that. It's kind of going backwards and forwards, new things happening every day. So we're all just a little bit in the unknown, but the unknown is a great creative space. Don't forget, the chaos theory of the universe. There is an order behind it all. These things have to happen. So here we are, and let's see what's going to come out of it. But it gives us a chance to reset ourselves, experience something new, and get on with the rest of our lives, basically. And for Aries in particular, of course, it's Aries season. So that gives you extra oomph. Not that you need extra oomph, Aries, but it always feels like you're firing on all cylinders in your own season. To begin with, in the first half of the month, whilst Mercury and Venus are retrograde, then they start to turn around, they move forward. Eventually, both of them will come into your own sign, and that's when you feel really switched on. But for me, I'd be looking at the full moon on the 12th, 13th, which is the weekend. It's in Libra. That's why it's in your opposite sign. So other people are going to be a mirror for you. So take a look at what comes up, and it's an opportunity to rebalance between the I, which is Aries, and the we, which is how you connect with others and relate with others. The 18th is when Mars comes into your fellow fire sign of Leo. in your zone of play, love, and creativity. What's not to like? That's fantastic. And Taurus season is money for you. So ka-ching, the cosmic calculator swinging in your favor. And, you know, this sense with the new moon here on the 27th, that actually there could be an extra source of revenue or a greater feeling of abundance and prosperity, which we know is always generated within ourselves. It's not about your bank account. And Venus is coming back to you direct, that love goddess, on the 30th of April and with you all the way through May up until early June. So, wow, the best is yet to come. So,
love this. So for Aries, I've decided to take 2 cards per sign.
Yeah.
This is an interesting way to add some more to the story, to the narrative for Aries. It is about partnerships. So it's about, like you said, that there's a level of mirroring. But it's also reminding you that if you are in that sense of creativity, right, which is, we've talked about that Mars going into Leo, which is also very creative. It's about the action that you take, but it can't come from your pushing for something, from your ego. So the Aries has to be very careful that they're not pushing an idea forward that just came from their ego and they haven't considered the partnership model of this, or for example, when have I done this in the past, and am I going to do this again, or do I have an opportunity to create something with others, as opposed to it being all about the me, I, right? It's about the me, right? So this is going to be really, really good. And like you said, at the end of the month, whatever you create from this position will really bear fruit.
It's going to be good.
Yes.
And both of them, both the cards.
Both cards, yeah. That's the story of both cards, yeah.
Excellent. Okay, so Taurus, well, it's work in progress whilst the sun is in your next door neighbor sign of Aries. And there's also some Pisces energy. So this is about friends, collaborators, and we're going to get 2 meetings between Venus and Saturn this month. And, you know, this is going to be big for a lot of signs. But I think for you, you're kind of really kind of pondering, am I in or am I out of this? You know, do I want to be part of this or not? Anyway, Taurus season starts on the 19th, this great time of renewal for you and blossoming Taurus. And at the same time, Mars is then overhead with the overhead lighting, 10th house, midheaven, shining bright. And it's all about, what do I want? That's what you're asking. And more than that, the ego again, what is my purpose that might fulfill my higher destiny? And there's going to be a lovely new moon in your sign on the 27th, which is terrific for rebirth, for seeding. So don't overlook those small beginnings. It's a time to do that planting, which again is going to bear fruit later in the year.
Love that. So you know how so I've got the 2 cards. One is orphaned. The other one is a leg up. So I'm going to interpret them together.
Yeah.
You had said at the beginning of the month that Taurus will say, like, am I in or am I out? I think this speaks to that disconnected feeling of, where do I belong? Yes. It's like asking ourselves about where we actually belong. That's for the Taurus. The Taurus should be doing that. And a leg up is that there will be help, whether it be from another person who will come and help you see that, or whether it be that help just kind of comes by circumstances that line up synchronistically for you to show you where you belong now. I really love that you said and mentioned that how much change there is for everyone. And so no matter which sign you are, this is also going to be an umbrella of, and for Taurus, it's like, okay, I have changed so dramatically. Where do I belong now? And I have to make sure that I don't isolate as well, because at the end of the month, all of a sudden it's like, oh, you know, so it won't last long, but sometimes it can be a bit depressing. I think, you know, when you question that, you're like, I don't belong anywhere. Where do I belong? But then you find your people is basically what
exactly. Yes. Yeah. And that also speaks of the letting go before we can move forwards. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yep. All right. So let's do Gemini.
So Gemini, well, what a hullabaloo. Of course, Mercury, your ruler, with Venus changing direction. The Venus-Saturn, super important. So over the course of this month, they will meet 2 times. And this is in the 10th house. And it brought to mind that saying by the German poet Goethe, who said, without commitment, nothing can happen. And that's absolutely right. And that is sometimes your bugbear, Gemini, because you're spinning all these plates and you're kind of, your attention is a little bit distracted. That's also kind of superpower that you have, being able to go between things. But at the moment, Venus and Saturn is saying, okay, which one do you want? You have to make a decision, Gemini, not early in the month, but by the end of the month, most definitely. This full moon is fabulous for you. It's in your 5th house. It's in the sign of Libra, your fellow air sign. This is all about fun and frolic. So that's really going to lighten you up. It's going to feel absolutely great. The 19th brings the sun to Taurus, and the sun is going to sink very low on your own personal horizon. So it's a time to kind of fly beneath the radar. You don't have to be visible. You can just get on with your own thing. And that can be quite freeing in a way. And on the 27th, again, it's all about the invisible. I do think this is so interesting because it's about astrology and this sort of metaphysical, multi-dimensional capacity to go between the seen and the unseen. So don't overlook what might be happening in the unseen realm.
I love that. So these 2 cards came up for Gemini. One is flexible and the other is to the sea. So I believe when I look at the picture of the boat, there's this one being trusting the waters and looking into the boat, as opposed to, so it's being in your own journey and flowing with that, but also being flexible, not to spread yourself thin at all, but not to be rigid about your decisions, because they'll change by the end of the month.
Yeah.
Right. That's the other thing. So, not to see things very like, I have to have it this way. It'd be more like, I really do feel like I'm on my own path. And so to make my decision, I need to be more flexible and be open to what is possible, as opposed to just what I want.
Yeah, exactly. That's great. Fortunately, Gemini is so flexible. So
right? Yeah. So use your superpower of flexibility.
Yeah. So Cancer, a lot of pondering, a lot of wandering, really, with this Mercury-Venus reversing through your 9th house. This is to do with your future. It's also to do with getting out of your postcode, we call it here in the UK. You might call it zip code, but basically going far afield. It's not like a little trip. It's a big thing. Like, where am I going? This is kind of philosophical, spiritual, but it might be quite literal. There might be a trip, and you're kind of like, shall I do it or not? By the end of the month, as Venus and Saturn reach their final decision, you're kind of like, yeah, that's how it works. And Saturn is about signing it off, getting it done. So your plans will really formulate then. Before that, though, the 18th, oh my gosh, I think you should write that in your diary. If you still have an old-fashioned diary, I still do. I love it. Because that's the day that Mars finally vacates your sign. And you're out of the hot seat. So Mars has been with you since early January. So basically pretty much the whole year so far. And a lot of that time it's been reversing through Cancer, and you felt like that crab on the tides going in and out. Things have been off and on. So you're going to get back to center once Mars finally shifts out, and just calmer. It's actually better. 27th, with the new moon in the most social angle of your chart, is activating gatherings. Again, that might just be a gathering of friends or a gathering of like minds. You think you want to belong to, or become a member of, or initiate a group of people who share your frequency. That's really what it's all about.
Oh, this is, and I got to tell you, this is so accurate too, because I am a Cancer, and I'm listening to everything you're saying, going, oh yeah. So 2 cards, never ending story in the protection position and Treasure Island. So this is interesting, because this one is about being oversensitive, right? And recognizing that Cancerians have been oversensitive, and like especially with those 5 Pisces planets last month. I mean, that was insane, right? At the beginning of the month. So there's been a lot of deluge of water, if you will, right? And not feeling grounded, right? Not feeling grounded. And so this enables us to remind ourselves, like, take care of us, or like the Cancer says, you know what? I am going to, not my circus, not my monkeys. This is what the card means upside down. It's like, I am not going to do anybody else's drama. No, I'm going to get myself back on track. And this is about dreams come true, the treasure island from the inside out. So Cancers can be quite productive at the end of the month, particularly, right? Especially as it goes into Taurus, it's very different, very, very different, and very productive and very happy.
Strong. So Leo, well, Mercury and Venus have been in this zone where you've been reconsidering and evaluating everything to do with money and relationships, and where those two things are entangled in your life, which of course comes down to issues of, do I trust this person or not, whether it's the bank, whether it's a partnership, business or personal. However, the good news is with Venus and Saturn coming together, you'll get the conclusion on this. So there'll be no more scratching your head, wondering if you're doing the right thing, finally. And so just wait for that moment. It's like an epiphany, really. And also Mars re-entering your sign. Now, okay, let's say for Cancer, it's not such a happy place to have Mars with you because, as you mentioned, so sensitive. And I've got the moon in Cancer and Cancer rising. I get that. But I think for Leo, Mars is great. It's like more power to your elbow. So, you know, really, this is a time for you to strut your stuff, do your thing, you know, be the king or queen of the jungle. I think you're going to actually love it. On the 27th, though, this is really interesting because Mars in Leo is going to oppose Pluto in Aquarius. And that is a little bit of stirring the pot. It's slightly agitational. Being a fire sign, you might not really mind that so much. But because there's a new moon on the same day, so lucky, you'll find a new solution to this. You're going, I'm not going to get into that old scrap again. And there will be a new way of dealing with it or that person or that situation or whatever. So
that's great. So the two cards I got for Leo is higher power in the protection position and clean it up. So what these two mean together is that you'll have an opportunity, Leos will have an opportunity to clean up whatever became burdensome since since a few past months, even getting your energy back online, which makes total sense. So when you declutter things, all of a sudden you have more space, more energy, etc. But not to forget your higher power, because it's not all on your own steam. This is about remembering your spiritual practices as well, and the fact that you're not in this game alone, right? This is you plus your higher power. And when you think it's all on your shoulders, even to find solutions to things, you won't. So you have to remember that that will be a spiritual solution that will come in as well too. This is very, very, very good for Leo this month.
Oh, lovely, golden.
Great.
So Virgo, wow, you're coming down from that eclipse, a total eclipse full moon in your sign. Entering April, we've still got Venus and Mercury retrograding through your other half sign of Pisces. Whether you have an other half technically or not is irrelevant. It's that the person who's looming large in your life. It could be business. So you've still got questions. The good news about that is that means you've still got options. So it's your time to negotiate and navigate, I would say, which you're also very good at. The full moon on the 12th, 13th, that weekend is a sort of buying and selling full moon. But don't forget, it's not just about the material world. This is about your inner value system, your self-value, which is actually what is mirrored back to you in terms of what's manifested externally anyway. So just sort of have a think about how you want to do the deal and whether you want to do any kind of deal and whether you can be bought, all of that. We could be here forever, but let's just say there's a few things to think about. Okay, Mars is now going to go into Leo, which is obviously your next door neighbor sign. And we all know what that feels like. God, when the neighbors get noisy, like Mars is next door to you. So they're really busy, noisy, doing all this stuff. Maybe they've got the builders in. So that's metaphorically speaking. For you, though, you think, well, I do not have Mars in my sign. That's going to come to you later, obviously, once Mars is done with Leo. But at the moment, you're operating a bit behind the scenes. It's Taurus season. Obviously, that's your fellow Earth sign from the 19th. And that might open up a lot of future plans, trips, journeys. And again, by the 25th, this final Venus-Saturn is a final decision. Saturn obviously is a planet of karma. This is about relationships. It's like, are we done? Like, is it over? Or are we going to move forwards together? That might sound kind of dualistic, but I think you get to that kind of place with Venus Saturn. In other words, I'm not playing games anymore, right?
Right.
So there you go.
I love that.
Hmm.
And so for Virgo, it's to also choose peace. The two cards are breathe and peace and protection.
Yeah.
Right. So, like no matter whether the neighbors are noisy, it's that sense of feeling like something is making me uncomfortable over there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I need to know. So it's like asking for closure, asking for distance, asking for next step, right? Like you said, later, like longer term plans at the end of the month, but at the beginning of the month, it's like, okay, how do I sort out my energy and what's really going on? So I think there's some opportunity for self-reflection also at this point, and without blame, right?
Yeah.
Really, really important not to blame. The noise can be internal. It may not be the neighbors, right?
Exactly. Projection.
Yeah, exactly. All right, that was for Virgo. Now we're off
Yeah,
to
so Libra. Well, there's lots to sort out and organize. There's a lot of moving parts all passing through your sixth house. And this is about mind, body, spirit, heart, and soul. So, it's a lot here. And they're all connected, don't forget. But the great news is you've got the Libra full moon in your own sign. So that weekend of the 12th and 13th is the biggest full moon of the year for you, Librans. So it's going to reveal, it's going to show, it's going to complete. And that might be a big out breath in a way of things that have been building up or things you've been holding in. I actually love this full moon for you, Libra. I think it'll really sort of demarcate the first and the second half of the month and make you feel better. And of course, relationships, it's, Sun in Aries, Mercury is going to be in Aries. And at the end of the month, Venus is going to move back to Aries on the 30th of the month, direct. And we've got Neptune there as well. So there's a lot of Aries energy. And I think with that, it's about, how can I relate from the soul? That might sound a bit esoteric, but, how can I see what's going on through the eyes of the soul rather than being triggered and sort of looking at things differently, taking a step back from that spiritual perspective. So it's about the mysteries of relationship. There's a lot of blessings here.
Mm-hmm. So this is for Libra, right? So we've got not for you and flexible. Right. So with this, it's understanding about being discerning, right? Mm-hmm. About really being discerning, less people pleasing, more. It is an opportunity to say, okay, how can I have a better relationship? It's like, what have I not seen? If I decide to use the lens of spirituality towards this, then I become much more observant, as opposed to taking everything personally. So this is more about, I love that you had said that about the mystery, of revealing. It's a revelatory time.
Yes.
But and again, it's warning against rigidity around what your expectations are. And if you can let those go, because it's about letting go attachments, then it's that, that adage, if you love something, let it go. If it comes back, it's yours. If it doesn't, it never was. That's kind of that.
Yeah, really is.
It's kind of that this month for Libra.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, so Scorpio, well, you're in a kind of creative process at the moment as Mercury and Venus are in your fifth house. Saturn is there, and these meetings between Venus and Saturn could be that you get to sign something off and complete it. I hope that's my book. I'm Scorpio. So Mars is also moving on to your midheaven from the 18th. So cast your mind back to November, December to early January. And there was undoubtedly a lot going on then. There's going to be a lot going on from the middle of April through May to early June. It's going to be very full on for you, Scorpio, getting out there in the world. And of course, it's Taurus season, which for you brings the sun to the relationship angle of the chart. You're looking who's there. And with the new moon in Taurus on the 27th. And this is an initiation, really. And that can be as magnificent as like a new perception of how to relate.
I love that. So, what's really interesting? I've got to be fair, which is balance, but also the happy card in protection, which is all about having a sense of humor. Oh. So there's a real, this can be contracts too, and being really giddy about things that actually came to fruition, because the to be fair card also can represent things that you sign, right?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this is interesting. I'm seeing justice. Like for example, maybe you didn't do as well the last project you launched, but this time it's going to be amazing, and you feel super giddy about it.
Yeah.
Right. And you operate very, very differently, and you're definitely ready. So Scorpios are going to have, I think, a lighter experience too.
Yeah. Wow. Bring it on. Sagittarius, well, shoots of growth here for you, but you also do need to anchor yourself firmly in reality with the Venus Saturn in your fourth house. The fourth house is the inner you. So it's like everything stems from the inner you. So put down those solid roots and foundations, and then all of these shoots of growth are going to start emerging. Now, the full moon is in your 11th house. So, well, it doesn't take much to get you into party animal mode. You can We're whipping it up, very positive, very playful, bringing people together. So yeah, I like that. There's definitely some kind of sense of, you're gathering people, and it's enjoyable. It really is. It's a full moon. So the sun moving into Taurus is a time to settle down now. You've had your full moon. You've got to come back down to from the 19th and organize things. So the new moon here on the 27th could really be for you about bringing in some new practices. So whether this is to do with, what you're going to eat, how you're going to exercise, or your spiritual practices, or all of them, that's going to be what generates the big results later in the month.
Love it. So we've got soulmates and exchanging gifts, the two cards here. And it's less, yes, it can be gathering with friends, etc. That may be true, and also to exchange gifts, to exchange ideas, to be with others. But it's also about learning to fall in love with yourself this month too, like being really clear and looking for that higher truth about who you really are to you and what you're really here to do. Right. So that's the other thing, is like, what am I offering to the world, and having that a little more clearer, I think, is what's going to happen at the end of the month for that. Yeah. Beginning of the month, like you said, it's more
sometimes
party.
Other people, that helps us clarify, doesn't it? Because we see ourselves through their eyes, and it's can be quite
I think it's really great for ideation, for the Sagittarius, getting together and coming up with ideas. I think is great.
Exactly. Absolutely, the team. So Capricorn, well, it's a great time for clarifying your thoughts. The mist is going to clear over the course of April, and you're probably going to have a defining moment around the 25th, when the Venus and Saturn join together in your third house, which is all about how you think and how you perceive things. So I think that's super important. But you need a lot of energy also for your personal life, for your home. A lot of feng shui going on in your home, whether you realize it or not, because there's a lot of Aries energy, and this is about you putting your energy into the foundations of your existence. The full moon, in contrast, all full moons are the opposites, the sun and the moon in opposite signs. So the full moon is in Libra on your midheaven. Well, I really think this could be an announcement, Capricorn, or all eyes upon you. Everyone's kind of looking, or maybe you're showcasing something, or you have a standout moment for you. So Mars has been opposing you whilst it's been resident in Cancer. That's not a great feeling. It gets you a bit hot under the collar. So really, I think with that, sometimes when it's opposing you, you feel with that Mars that everyone else is a bit pushy, and that, especially being a Capricorn, you like to do things in your own time, and it's like, well, I can't do it yesterday. Sorry, can't get it done yesterday. Or they're like sort of annoying mosquitoes kind of on at you. So on the 18th, Mars moves on into Leo and sort of clears things away for you. So everything just feels easier to be in. And from the 19th, the sun moves into that most joyful of areas in your solar chart as it moves into Taurus, into your 5th house. And the new moon here, do something creative that you just really enjoy doing. Really put your attention there.
I love this. So Capricorn comes into the month with round and round. So we have round and round and regeneration. So this is about knowing the lessons that you've already been through, and saying, you know what, I'm not doing that again. That's the other piece. It's like, no, I don't need to learn that again. And it's not been comfortable, right? So that's the other thing. It's just hasn't been comfortable. But now it's like, no, I need to get back on my track, not on yours, on my track.
Yes.
And this card is about rejuvenation. So regeneration is whatever didn't get done or things that you wanted to get off the ground didn't, especially towards the end of the month. That's like, oh, this is the time for me to really start to see the results of some of the seeds I planted a while ago and tend to them. That's the other thing.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So Aquarius, well, the full moon in the middle of the month, the 12th and 13th, call it the middle, sets the scene for your future plans and new vistas. And on the 18th, Mars arrives into Leo across the way. So it's already been here, November, December through to early Jan, just, rewind what was happening. But this time it's going to be opposing Pluto in your own sign, another date to ring in your diary, the 27th. It's very, very important how you handle that Mars opposite Pluto in your own sign. It's all very well with Mars opposing you, but when Pluto's with you, wow, you are the person with the power. And it's how you handle that power and recognize the power of choice that you have. So something very important that you could kind of put to bed once and for all with this, by actually recognizing that you can transform your response to someone. And, this is about how you want to be with this person or this situation moving forward. So I think that's really interesting. And then there's the new moon towards the end of the month. Again, reaffirming to you that everything comes from your inner power, who you are on the inside. So that's where it's all at this month.
Oh, I love it. So we got chaos and conflict and by the book. So this is about recognizing when you are challenged, and I do it is about the right use of power, right? When you are challenged, the challenge here is to not give the outer world all the power, and for you to find it inwardly, and also to wield it with a sober. This is like very sober, right? By the book, right? The idea that you know what to do, you know what is right, not so much righteous, which is very egoistic, but it's more, I know what's right. I know what the next step should be, because you will be able to wield power over others also, but also possibly be disempowered if you spend too much time looking at the outer world to determine how certain you are about anything.
Yeah. In
It's
fact,
it's big.
Right action is very Buddhist, isn't it? It's the right
action is, and being mindful of the action, being mindful.
So Pisces, well, my goodness, it's been a lot of shenanigans here. I mean, thank goodness in a way, Pisces, just so well equipped to go with the flow. That's what you've really had to do. That's what you continue to do as we move into this month. But on the 7th of April, and again on the 27th of April, all the sevens, I can't stress this enough. It's the final 2 times in 29 years that Venus and Saturn will join together in your sign. That's because Saturn's going to move out of Pisces for good. And, that's, really something that you can kiss goodbye to. It's not happening actually till February 2026, but Venus and Saturn, this is the last 2 times they meet in your sign. Boundaries with Saturn, respect. Are you being respected? And are you committed to yourself? Never mind what you're committed to in the outside world. So Aries is all about money for you, and how the material world reflects your self-esteem. So that's also something you've been thinking about. But with Taurus season from the 19th and again the new moon on the 27th, it's going to give you some kind of platform here, Pisces, for engaging with people, speaking, communicating, writing. Start picking up that pen, get to your laptop and let the words flow, because you've got a lot to say.
So Loyal Heart and Orphaned are both in the protection position, and Loyal Heart is asking Pisces, do you trust yourself? Are you committed to yourself? Are you loyal to your dreams and your desires, or have you gotten so wishy-washy and watery that you've gotten lost in this nebulous zone of, I don't know if I can? And there's been a lot of fear. I think that's the other thing. There's been fear that's may have created you to isolate, because the Orphan card in the protection is all about, you know, spending too much time within, right? And not coming out, like the dreaming, the constant dreaming without action. Now is the time to actually actualize those things for Pisces. It's very powerful.
I
Very
love
good.
that, Pisces. Very
Well,
special.
there you have it. You will see us again in May. Thank you, Debbie.
Thank you so much, Colette.
DebbieFrank.com is it .com?
Yes, DebbieFrank.com. You can inquire about having a session with me.
Yep.
I do weekly and monthly horoscopes on there. You can join my Substack newsletter, all that stuff. So lovely to see you.
Love it. And Debbie's fabulous. I've had many readings from her and she's great. And she's worth the wait because I know there is a wait list. But if you say you saw her with Colette Baron-Reid, you might be on
I will make some space.
Oh, no.
I love your
Take
people.
care.
They're lovely. Lots of love.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.